The following podcast will contain spoilers, tangents, hot takes, and excessive foul language. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, horror fans, and welcome to episode 304 of Frightmares. I'm your host, Austin Proctor, and joining me today for 1984's Firestarter is Gabrielle Proctor.
Hello.
Your favorite King book,
That's true.
but not favorite King adaptation.
Also true.
Just spitting facts today. Yeah, you know what? At least it's not the new one. I don't even want to talk about the new one, besides the fact that it sucks.
That's also true.
Man, 3 for 3. Can I keep it up the rest of the episode?
Probably
that sounded
not.
weird. What? Wow. Perfect. Yeah, this one is a movie we did back, like I mentioned last episode, I believe. We did it for like the first Stephen King episode. Do you remember way back then?
Many moons ago?
We did Horror is King, part 1 and 2, and I know we did The Shining. I know we did Firestarter, but I don't remember the other ones that we did. We did like 4 Stephen King things, but I don't remember which ones we did.
We might have done The Stand.
Oh, we probably did The Stand, yeah. But I could have sworn we did Firestarter because I remember reading the book. That's the only time I've read the book is when we did it on that episode, and then I reread it for this.
And I had already read it.
I'd already read it, yeah. I didn't reread it. Or I guess I listened to it, whatever. So I did actually read the book for this.
I've read it with my eyeballs.
Wow. Oh, like for real, for real.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I actually have a copy in my office.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, weird. So yeah, you've read the source material. I'm not even kidding. Before we walked in this room, it was like, hope you enjoy this book on Audible. And I was like, all right, I'm ready. So finished that, and I have some similarities. I have some differences. I have a theory on this one. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, good.
I'm excited. I didn't tell you to come up with a theory, but if you think of one, you let me know.
Nah.
Wow. Nothing. So wait, do you have one and you don't want to share, or you just don't want to think of one?
No, I think we've already discussed the theory that I have that's kind of more of a quasi-theory and probably not that unique.
Okay. Well, I vlogged this 4 times? Really? Really? Wow, okay, so I guess I vlogged this 4 times. Maybe we did not do this on the original episode way back when. Well, no, that was 2019. Because the first time I have it logged is 2021.
Maybe you just didn't log it in 2019?
That seems unlikely. But, so apparently I've watched it 4 times. I remember I've liked it pretty much the same amount every time. When I first started watching it, I remember being like, oh, this is easily going to be a 4-star movie. And then it just dips way down in the middle. And I was like, this is going to be a 3-star movie. And then the ending is just great. So, yeah, we'll get there. It's not the best paced movie, and it's a little long, but such is the norm with Stephen King adaptations. Most of them are miniseries or 2 hours or whatever. So yeah, I guess I could have sworn I watched this in 2019. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did and didn't log it, but this is apparently my 4th time watching it. I didn't think I had seen it that many times. That's for damn sure. 2021, 2022, last year, and this year. That seems like a lot.
What were you doing in 2023?
A lot of things. So many things. So, what is your history with this movie? Had you seen it prior to us getting together? I don't remember.
No.
Really?
No, I hadn't, but I had read the book.
It's your favorite book, though.
Yeah, but remember when you and I got together, we were still living in a land of getting Netflix by mail, and Netflix is the streaming service. So there wasn't a lot of opportunity to see it prior to between the time I read the book and you and I getting together. It's just not something that ended up happening.
Yeah, saying that we got Netflix by mail makes it seem like it was ages ago, and really it was only 8 years ago. But I had the Netflix by mail because there was a bunch of shit that wasn't streaming that they had on Blu-ray or DVD, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to get that.
Yeah, they should not have let me do that. I was terrible with returning movies.
We didn't let you do it. I did it. And then
I mean when I had my own.
Oh yeah, and then I would keep a movie for months and months and months, and then we would get in the habit of like sending it back, and we would watch like 4 or 5 or 6 a month. Then I'd keep it for another 4 or 5 months and forget about it. So eventually we just canceled it because I'm like, yeah, this is pointless.
We're not responsible enough to keep this consistently going.
It's not even that I'm not responsible enough. I'm just so forgetful. I kept forgetting, and then I'd put it somewhere, and you know me, when I set things places, they just disappear. It's like a black hole that just...
Yeah, I'm still looking for things.
Couldn't help you with that. So, anything else you want to preface the episode with before we move on?
No.
This fucking squeaky chair. I gotta switch these chairs. Every time I move, it's just... Of course, now it's not doing it.
No, it is.
There it is. Anyways, let's move on to what did Jason Hill make me watch? This week, Jason made me watch a movie I had seen one time, like 5 years ago, that I don't remember a single thing from, except for the fact that it was a like apocalypse-y kind of movie. It is Night of the Comet from 1984. After a comet wipes out most of life on Earth, 2 Valley girls find themselves fighting against cannibal zombies and a sinister group of scientists. Sounds like a lot of fun, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, first time. Okay, I guess it's been 3 years. Sorry. So I watched this 3 years ago. I had only rated it a 3 at the time, and I was like, that seems low because it has a 3.3. So let's rewatch this. And it's enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. It's and when you actually watched the Scream Factory 4K, and when you came in, you validated my feelings on it, that the main actress, let me get her name, main actress of Catherine Mary Stewart, I guess Mackenzie Davis would look like her. She doesn't look like Mackenzie Davis because she was around probably before Mackenzie Davis, but she plays Regina, and totally, if you were to give Mackenzie Davis that 80s hair, same fucking person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I messaged Jason, and I was like, just for more validation. He's like, I didn't notice it until you sent that. And I was like, yes, I'm not alone. So totally vibes like Mackenzie Davis. I do love all the red tones in the movie. It's giving Mad Max all day long, but not with the cool cars. So all of basically the good parts from Mad Max, you just take that away and you're left with the vibes with the red. And it's always funny to me how in this dystopian future, power's still working, because I just don't think it would work like that.
Don't know?
I don't know.
We're still building our dystopian future.
It is in progress. It's just people have to run those and make sure it's all working and stuff.
Who says someone isn't?
I guess.
I mean, hell, in The Stand, they got their electricity back up eventually.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just funny. They're all just prancing around the town like nothing's wrong, and just going here and going there and all this stuff, and power's still working. And it's a lot of fun, but there's just that thing missing. I don't know what it is.
The je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, something from this movie is just missing for me. And it's only an hour and a half. It's not like it's long, but for some reason there's just like a lot of lulls, and I feel the pacing isn't where it should be. It's kind of up and down, but there is a really good dream sequence that I won't go into in this. Very good dream sequence that was fun, and all the performances are great. I don't really get how the comet kills everybody, but then some of them are zombies and some of them aren't zombies. I don't know. It's very bizarre. So my rating stayed true at a 3 out of 5. Maybe it'll change at some point. I don't know. This is actually the first time I think Jason's rating was higher than mine. I think this is a first here, because he gave it a 3.5 out of 5, and his review was, "It's like Romero dared John Hughes to make a zombie movie, so do with that information what you will." You can watch this on Tubi and Pluto, and once again, that is Night of the Comet from 1984.
Jason says, check it out. You'll probably hate it.
Thanks, Jason. Let's move on to the highest grossing movies and the Academy Award winners from 1984. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom takes the cake for highest grossing movie that year at $333.1 million. And Gremlins is the highest grossing horror movie of the year, bringing in $165.4 million. Not surprising there, because that movie is incredible.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine seeing that movie actually in theaters for in 1984. Would have been an amazing time.
Absolutely.
Totes My Goats, we just covered that one around Christmas time. This was the 57th Academy Awards presented on presented on Monday, March 25th, 1985. Best Actor goes to F. Murray Abraham, and I always thought it was not that name, but he's the guy I know. I recognize him.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying that name sounds weird. For Amadeus, actor in a supporting role goes to Hang S. I don't even want to say that. The way I'm going to say it is going to sound like a slur.
No, I have no idea.
Yeah,
just spell it.
It's Ngor. That is going to sound very not good if I try to pronounce that, so I'm not going to do that. For The Killing Fields, Best Actress goes to Sally Field for Places in the Heart. Actress in a supporting role goes to Peggy Ashcroft for A Passage to India. Cinematography goes to Chris Minges. I think this is the first cinematographer I've pronounced with complete confidence, even though it's probably still wrong. For The Killing Fields, director goes to Milos Forman for Amadeus. Best musical score goes to Maurice Jarre for A Passage to India, and Best Picture goes to Amadeus. Amadeus. I remember asking, I was like, is that in the movie? Like, no, it's not. Oh, well, it should be.
It was just released around the same time.
Amadeus. You told me this movie was boring as shit and I was gonna hate it, and I fucking really enjoyed it. So I think you need a rewatch of this, because this was legitimately one of the movies I was dreading, because for some reason I don't like movies set in this time period. I was corrected. It's not the Renaissance era. It is the Age of Enlightenment. So sorry. By somebody who will remain nameless.
You call any time period where they're wearing period clothing the Renaissance.
If they're dressed up like that with the wigs, then it's the Renaissance. Yes, it is. And if they're dressed up in medieval things, then it's medieval times. And then anything beyond that, I don't fucking know, because I'm stupid and don't know history. So yes, anytime I see those, the way they are dressed,
it's all Renaissance.
It's all Renaissance. So I weirdly enjoyed this one. I should also apologize for going a little too hard on terms of endearment. My rating stays the same, but I just don't like that movie. Probably never going to revisit it. And I know you should always revisit movies. I don't know. Might not for this one. But Amadeus, the life, success, and troubles of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, as told by Antonio Salieri, the contemporaneous composer who was deeply jealous of Mozart's talent and claimed to have murdered him. My first thought is Antonio is an old, jealous bitch who needs to get over himself. Tom Hulce's, or is it Hulce's? Whatever.
I have no idea.
The guy who plays Mozart, his laugh was absolutely atrocious, and it was worse than nails on a chalkboard. I know you explained to me that since it is the telling from Antonio's side, it was done to make him seem more annoying than he was. He was already perfectly annoying on his own, and that laugh, oh my God, it was not fun. If I can find a clip, I'll insert it here. And if I can't find a clip, then you just enjoyed a 2-second silence for nothing. It's weird, too, because the movie didn't do that great at the box office. It made about $35 million, so it's not terrible. But for a budget that was almost $20 million, it only made about 50. And I know that I'm getting older because I fucking loved the music in this. And it's classical. It's Mozart, or however you say his name. So I'm getting older because it was cranked when I was listening to it, and I was like, this is a vibe. And I also really enjoyed the narrative of, how they were telling the story from Antonio's perspective and all this stuff. I didn't know that Mozart died at 35. He's a young dude. I'm about to be 35, so that kind of hit me like, oh God,
And you haven't composed shit.
I haven't done a damn thing. The only thing I have that I've done is this fucking podcast, which does mediocrely at best. So
good work.
I nailed it. But yeah, I quite enjoyed Amadeus, which again, I really didn't think I was going to like this one at all. It has a 4.3 out of 5. I didn't rate it that high. I gave it a 3.5. But honestly, I'm definitely going to revisit this at some point. They actually just put out a 4K of this, which I'll probably buy and watch again. And now I know where that scene from The Great Movie Ride came from. Because there's a moment when they play that do-do-do-do, and you see Tom Hulce's character as Mozart doing like this motion. And I've always wondered where that came from. It's in this movie.
Oh.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So that is Amadeus. It is streaming nowhere except for Plex. I had to rent it, but at least I wasn't mad that I rented it. And my review for Amadeus is, what do you think the wig budget was on this? Because fucking everybody was in a wig. Mozart had many, many wigs, so I can't imagine it being less than a few $1 million. But hey, it's the price you pay for setting your movie in that time period. Anyways, if you have nothing else to add, because you've been such a chatterbox, we can move on to the IMDb Roundup.
I'm sorry, you're talking about movies I don't remember anything or have not seen.
You should watch it. I'm going to make you watch it.
You're giving me nothing to talk about.
Let's move on to the IMDb Roundup. This is Firestarter from 1984, released on May 11th of that year in the U.S., rated R for no sex and nudity, moderate violence and gore, mild profanity, mild alcohol, drugs, and smoking, and moderate frightening and intense scenes. Honestly, I don't know why this is rated R. It could have easily gotten away with PG-13. Or no, PG-13 didn't exist. Never mind. That's probably... But like, it's weird that this is R and fucking Poltergeist was PG. Is that not strange?
Yeah.
That's strange, because this is not nearly as, like, scary or anything than Poltergeist. It really should have been flipped.
I mean, hell, could you imagine what the rating would have been if they had actually included some of the shit from the book in there?
Oh my god. One day. Runtime of 1 hour and 54 minutes. You feel it. It's too long. Listed as an action horror sci-fi thriller, directed by Mark L. Lester, who also directed Class of 1984, Commando, and Class of 1999. Apparently he likes his class of movies. Written by Stanley Mann, who also wrote Damien the Omen 2 and Conan the Destroyer, which is the sequel to Conan the Barbarian. Composed by Tangerine Dream, who also composed The Keep, Legend, and Near Dark. Cinematography by Giuseppe Ruzzolini, who also did the cinematography for Arabian Nights. We have edited by David Rollins, who also edited Saturday Night Fever, Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol, and Baby's Day Out. Fucking wild resume. And also edited by Ronald Sanders, which is the whitest name I've ever heard, who also edited 10 films of David Cronenberg, starting with Scanners, ending with Eastern Promises, and Coraline. So, a bunch of horrific horror movies from the 80s and 90s, and a children's movie. Starring David Keith, not Keith David. I do this every time. I'm like, Keith David's in this movie? What? Oh no, it's a white guy. It always confuses me. It's not Keith David. It's David Keith. He plays Andrew McGee. He was also in An Officer and a Gentleman as Sid Worley. We have Drew Barrymore as Charlie McGee, who everybody should know. She was also in Scream as Casey. She was in E.T. as Gertie, I believe.
She has her own talk show.
She's famous. She was also in Smile 2 as herself. Freddie Jones is Dr. Joseph Wanless, who was also in Dune as Thufir Hawat. We have Heather Locklear as Vicky McGee, who was in 199 episodes of Melrose Place, as Amanda Woodard, Martin Sheen as Captain Hollister, who was in The Departed as Queen Anne, and George C. Scott, a very blatantly obvious white man playing a Native American, John Rainbird, who was also in The Exorcist 3 as Kinderman. Estimated.
He's also in Patton as Patton.
Is he also playing a person of color?
No,
Okay.
the more general Patton.
Patton. Got it. Patent pending. This had an estimated budget of $12 million, kind of floundering here at only making $17.1 million. Filmed in North Carolina. You can rent it on Amazon for $3.99. Movies that came out around the same time. We have Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. Razorback, Breakin', the predecessor to Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo. 16 Candles, The Natural, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Once Upon a Time in America, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, Ghostbusters, Gremlins, Karate Kid. You've seen 5.
6.
Ah! Friday the 13th.
Yep.
16 Candles.
Yep.
Indiana Jones.
Duh.
Ghostbusters, Gremlins, Karate Kid.
Yep.
Ha! IMDb summary, a couple who participated in a potent medical experience gain telepathic ability and then have a child who is a pyrokinetic. This is Firestarter.
Charlie McGee is a healthy 8-year-old girl. Normal in every way,
Charlie, now watch what you're doing.
but one.
Did she do that?
What are you gonna do with her? I'll bring her here, so you can do all your tests.
Then you give her to me.
Charlie has the power.
Do something bad? Will you still love me?
She can set things on fire
Something's happening in there.
with just a glance. It is a power she does not want,
Stick with him.
Daddy, I'm scared.
So am I, honey.
a power she cannot control.
Back up.
And each night, she prays to be just like every other child.
We haven't got her yet. We'll have her.
But there are those who will do everything in their power to find her, to control her,
Charlie!
and maybe destroy her.
Charlie!
Come to me, Charlie.
Go! You're gonna have to burn it down, honey. Burn it all down.
Charlie McGee is Stephen King's Firestarter. Will she have the power to survive?
That implies a lot more screen time for Heather Locklear than there really is.
It really does. It does.
That
And
is a misleading direction the story's going.
she's
Blur.
in like maybe 10 minutes. A flashback, and then
She's in flashbacks.
she did. So, overall thoughts, what do you got?
Well, I think you and I have agreed on this. This is the most accurate that I've seen to the source material. And to be fair, Stephen King's source material does need a lot of editing. My guy really likes rambling on about shit for some reason. We'll talk very long-windedly about things just to like world build some more, but sometimes that can get very tedious. Or sometimes he puts some really graphic shit in his book that you're like, well, great. That's not a mental image I wanted, but now I have it. And so I think this one was really accurate. You and I noticed some disparities between the movie and the book, which is obviously bound to happen. But honestly, most of them seem like they were there for the point of streamlining the film, because some of it wasn't necessary and some of it you could kind of just save some time on. Though I do think that I agree the runtime is a little long on it, and it does lull in the middle, unfortunately, once they get captured. And I think the biggest problem with that is you barely see them make it to safety. They're immediately captured, and then Andy kind of just stops. He becomes a backseat character for a little while. And I think that's unfortunate because you see a man who's finally broken by what's happened, by his wife dying, by his child being captured, being in a place he knows he's going to end up dying in, give up, just lets himself go.
Gets fat.
Just gives up on the fact that he's ever going to see his daughter again, really just drops the ball as a parent, and then goes, what the hell am I doing? And I wish we'd gotten to see that moment where he's defeated and then he picks his ass up and goes, shit, I really got to do better.
Well, and also because of the fact that they were feeding him something to suppress his push.
Yeah.
He kind of felt ineffective as well because he couldn't even make that guy drink the ink. So,
Yep.
yeah. My overall thought is blank, so nailed it there, really, really through and through. A good description of what I thought overall about the movie. I just will say I agree with you. It is one of the most faithful, if not the most faithful adaptation we get of a Stephen King book. I mean, down to what they're wearing. Like, at certain points in the book, they describe Charlie as wearing a gymnast kind of outfit when she's when the shop has her, and in the movie, she's in that little gymnast outfit or whatever you want to call it, spandex. So But then they couldn't get the beginning right when she had the green shirt.
The red pants.
Yeah, couldn't get that right for whatever reason, but they'll get the other thing right. So very faithful, like I said, down to what their certain characters are wearing. When just completely fucked the pacing in the middle. But it's kind of hard not to, because that's how it is in the book. But at least in the book, even though nothing's really happening, the description of what's happening is interesting. There's also a lot of flashbacks that happen during that time. There's a lot more of Andy in the book when they're trapped and how he's gaining weight and he just has lost all of his ability to do anything.
He's given up.
Yeah.
And you really got to see that to see him because he spent his life in fear of the shop, in fear of what will happen to his child. And finally, he's living that reality. And that would break a lot of people. But to see him break, give up, and then realize, what am I doing? I have to get my shit together and get my kid.
Yeah, got to get the fuck out of here.
It's interesting to see, because I think that's something that parents in general can relate to, not being captured by the government. But
ideally.
Well, never mind. Anyway, no, but that idea of being so overwhelmed by something happening to your family, and then it finally happens and you feel yourself give up a little because you're like, I couldn't avoid it.
Yeah.
But you still have to carry forward. And, I think that's an interesting thing to talk about.
Well, and they also had to focus more heavily on Charlie's relationship with Rainbird, because Rainbird was telling Cap, hey, I'm going to, kind of weirdly. In the book, it's more clear when he says, I'm going to get close to her, and Cap kind of looks at him funny, and he's like, not that close. Not in the weird
sex
way.
Thing. Don't make it weird, okay?
But in the movie, it's not explicitly explained.
And he does say the phrase, "I'm gonna get inside her." And
and you're like,
we could have phrased that different.
We could have phrased that any differently. So they focused on that a lot more in the movie, because that was more integral to the plot of making sure that there is an established bond between her and Rainbird. But at the same time, you could. There's, I think, the really key scene that you can tell Charlie wants to trust Rainbird is when the power goes out and Rainbird's acting scared, and Charlie has to step in to almost be the adult because she's confused as to why a grown man would be scared of the dark. I think that's probably the most pivotal scene, where you can see her wall kind of come down and she starts to talk to Rainbird like a person instead of being very standoffish to him. So that's a very important scene there. But yeah, in the book, there's just so much more explanation to what's going on behind the scenes. I think Pinchot is in a lot more of the book as well. I know he's in the movie a little bit, but I don't remember even seeing him die in the movie, because there's a whole chapter on his funeral. Andy goes to his funeral and takes a plane, and that's where he talks to Cap and convinces him to let him and Charlie go. And in the movie, they're like on a dock somewhere on the compound.
Again, things they changed to streamline it a little, which makes sense.
Right. So,
but yeah.
So I do have a theory with this one, and it's not related to Carrie, because I'm pretty sure. No, I related Carrie to The Shining. That's right. So my theory with this one is that Firestarter and Stranger Things take place in the same universe. Obviously, I'm going to show my work. So both Firestarter and Stranger Things feature a young girl with extraordinary abilities that she struggles to control, and the government seeks to exploit it. That's point one. Point two. In Firestarter, the government is trying to control and utilize the protagonist's pyrokinesis, while in Stranger Things, Eleven's telekinetic abilities are the focus of the government experience. Kind of the same thing, just more expanded out. They're both set in the 80s. Firestarter, both the movie and the book, were done in the 80s. Stranger Things is set back in the 80s. But the thing that really sold it for me actually comes from one specific line of dialogue in the book, where someone says to Hochstetter, is it Captain Hollister or Hochstetter?
Hollister.
I could have sworn there was someone named Hochstetter. Someone says it's an internal letter between two parties in the book, and it says there are forces loose in this universe that we don't even know about yet. And I think not relating to the Demogorgons, but I'm saying they're saying in that note there are forces in this universe that we have no idea about, which could easily be related to the Demogorgons and the Upside Down in Stranger Things, because Stranger Things, she's telekinetic, not pyrokinetic, which is a little different. So I can't remember, and this is where I can't remember how they found the upside down in Stranger Things, though. I forgot.
There's a blast of psychic energy.
Yeah, so from 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... But yeah, I think those could definitely be taking place in the same universe. Hawkins is in Indiana. This is in Virginia, Washington, D.C., and they both involve. They could be my kind of theory is it's just different branches of government research because but they're interested in kids harnessing great amounts of power. That's my theory. Yeah,
that's a good one, and it's not news that Stranger Things is heavily inspired by Stephen King's works anyway.
I mean, especially Firestarter. If it even comes down to Eleven's nosebleeds. I mean, Andy has nosebleeds when he uses his power too much. So It's not entirely ridiculous. So some things that I do like about this, I really like, because a lot of Stephen King adaptations, they don't start with things like, I just like how this one starts exactly the same as the book. They're walking down, I don't think they're necessarily in New York, but they're walking down the road. The shop is on them. They get into a cab and then they go. But what you notice, I don't know if you noticed it this time, but you told me this time how in the book, the cab driver is a racist guy throwing the N-word around, and then we get to the movie. And
he didn't say we said, well, he didn't say the N-word, but he did say some disparaging things about black people.
Oh, okay.
And we're like, but he didn't say the N-word, and somehow that's a feat.
Yeah, that's a feat. And then in the movie, it's a black cab driver, which I was like, look at that. Now we're doing things in the right way. Instead of talking bad about them, let's just use a black actor and just make it better.
I don't even think that was intentional. It was just a funny coincidence.
I'm just saying, even if it wasn't, but yeah, and I think that's another reason why this is our favorite Stephen King book, because I thought he did say the slur, but there's no slurs. I don't think. There might have been one now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, little to none, and there's also no excessive dialogue about nipples. Stephen King loves describing women's nipples to very, very weird degrees, and there is not... I think he mentions someone caught an eye of someone's breast once, and I was like, okay, that's it, right? And then he moved on. But, I'm talking the weirdest description of nipples and how water cups them when they're showering. I don't think I can understand it.
Yeah,
so it was nice to not have that at all.
Another bonus to the book was, this was the least sexual of all the books. So you're just like, cool, I don't have to listen to really weird sex stuff.
Yeah, I don't have to listen to Danny's parents basically getting it on right in front of him, because that's weird.
Yeah, and, but, dude, I don't care what you say. The whole John Rainbird thing just still comes off really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
The whole, I'm going to get close to her.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to look into her eyes when I kill... bro, what?
He does derive some weird sexual pleasure out of it, I feel. It's not explicitly explained in the book, but...
Actually, they explicitly say he doesn't, which makes me feel like he does.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. I had to rewind it at one point because they popped around from person to person after an event happened, and they said... I just remember the last thing I remember hearing is Rainbird thinking about Charlie. And then the next thing I remember hearing is, and after he ejaculated, I was like, wait a second, what? But they were talking about Pinchot, jerking off into his garbage disposal. And it's like, that's a really weird thing to do.
Yeah.
Very strange. So I had to rewind that to make sure I didn't miss that, because I was like, I don't remember him doing that to thoughts of Charlie, because that might change my opinion on this fucking book. But no, it's talking about Pinchot. Who's apparently a cross-dresser in the book. He liked the way he looked. All right, you do you, bro.
Do what you gotta.
So yeah, everything's very accurate. There's little differences though. Charlie getting the money from the payphones in the book, but then her dad doing it in the movie. It's very strange. They also mentioned the bad thing, which I thought was interesting because, in The Shining, the bad thing was Jack drinking. The bad thing in Firestarter is Charlie using her ability, but they still use that phrase, which I thought was interesting. So in the movie, they get to the farm at about 30 minutes in, which is about 4 hours into a 15-hour book. The cabin at about 43 minutes in, or 5 hours into a 15-hour book. And then the lab at 55 minutes in the movie and 8 hours into the book. Which is interesting because the pacing there is about the same as the book, because the movie's about 2 hours and 8 hours is just over 2 hours, or just over halfway through the book. So the pacing is pretty on point, but I feel like they really, really rush getting to the cabin.
Yeah.
I feel like that is so rushed. And even in the book, they're at the cabin for a couple seasons, right?
They're there for a few months.
Yeah, for a few months, because I remember them saying when they got there, it was warm and hot, and then Charlie's sledding down the hill and in the snow. So yeah, the time...
Yeah, because the shop watches them for a while before they get them.
They watch them for a while, probably to lull them into a sense of false security. But...
well, after she... absolutely roasted their entire team, they were like, let's not get up in her business.
That too, yeah. Which the only thing that was really missing from the movie that was in the book is lighting the chickens on fire, and I'm okay with not seeing that. It's good. But the description of flipping up all the cars and people being lit on fire, it was pretty accurate in the movie.
We didn't get the guys on the porch getting absolutely wrecked. Like the guy who falls back on the garden stake and gets it through the throat.
Yeah.
That lives rent-free in my head. I'm like, and we never saw it, because even in the remake, they just completely biff every square inch of that story, and all I wanted was for them to do it right and do the damn thing and
do the damn thing.
Show it, and they're like, nah, we're just gonna make it worse.
Yeah. But I think it's very accurate. Some little differences I noticed though were Rainbird kind of gives Wanless the opportunity to live, kind of, in the book. He's trying to talk to him, and then Wanless goes on this huge rant, but then Rainbird ends up killing him. I just love in the movie, he goes up to Wanless and just like, hiya, and just karate.
Oh, karate chops him. Fucking, like, what?
For one time in the nose, dead.
Well, and then he also says he's going to strike Charlie in the bridge of the nose, sending shards of bone up into her brain. I'm like, what? Every time I'm just thinking about that motion, I'm like, that would break your nose downward. So unless you're just going to strike her in the front of the head, this is conceivably the thickest part of bone right here in the front of your face.
What?
What are you talking about? Because I think, isn't in the book, he's like, I'm going to choke her out.
Something like that. He wants to harm her.
Because he wants her to die looking into his eyes, because that's what he does with everybody. He kills them and makes deep, intense eye contact so he can know death.
Mm-hmm. It's a weird guy.
He's got some stuff going on.
The chapter where, in the book, obviously, where Andy finds his dead wife and Charlie gone is a 53-minute chapter, and it's actually the longest chapter in the book because, my God, there are like 16-second chapters in Firestarter. It's very weird. They're broken down into sections and then chapters within each section, and they usually range from about 1 minute to 7 minutes, but yeah, 53 minutes for that chapter. And Charlie's not just outside at the neighbor's house where Andy goes to get her. No, he has to drive and find her and track her down, but he does still say things like, you're blind, makes him drop his gun. I like that in the, and just in general, it's like, you're blind, and the guys are like, oh God, I'm blind. Yeah, fuck you, get out of here. Pinchot's funeral, that's different. There's a whole chapter in the book. The ricochet, which would be really hard to do in a movie, but the ricochet is where you put, like, where Andy pushes someone so hard that thought ricochets around in their mind until they just go absolutely crazy.
Would have loved to see it, though.
Yeah, that would have been fun to see, because Andy, they don't even really explain what Andy did in the movie, but he ran this business where he would help people succeed, you know, because he would
like quit smoking and stuff.
He could push them to do things and be successful and
be less interested in cigarettes, things like that,
and be successful, which is a really cool thing. Like, you know, what do you do with that power? Oh, you do that, but it wore him down over time to the point where he can't even use the push anymore without getting just a massive headache.
Yeah, which I think is an interesting concept because his daughter can do it no problem, but she was born with it.
Right.
It's not Maybelline. And she whereas they get injected with it, and it's just like it takes more of a toll because it wasn't something his brain developed with. So yeah.
Yeah, because it in the book they talk about, I can't remember what the mom had, but it wasn't she didn't have the same problem that Andy did, where she would use her power and have headaches, but she also wasn't alive for that long.
But she also didn't use it the way he did.
That too, yeah. A couple other things. This is a big one too, and I don't know which version I like more, but in the book, Andy actually warns Charlie about Rainbird in the note that he passes to her through somebody. I can't remember who. I think it's Cap. He warns her about Rainbird, and in the movie, she just goes right up to Rainbird like, "We're getting out of here. Woo, let's go. Like, I'm getting out of here." So I don't know. I think I like the one where Andy warns her and then she tries to act normal in front of Rainbird, and then Rainbird goes full-blown detective trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And and then he realizes Cap is going crazy talking about the snakes. I love the snakes in the book. Cap has just got this weird fear of snakes in the book because of what Andy has pushed him into doing. And then always talking about golfing too, which is hilarious. And then of course the ending is different. In the movie, Charlie gets dropped off at the Manders farm, and then they go straight to a magazine or newspaper, whatever. And in the book, there is a full chapter about her experience living at the Manders farm and how long she's been there. And then eventually by the end of the book, they go to the newspaper magazine because they don't want people in town to start asking questions about why they have a little girl. So that's some similarities, some differences. I think I had like one other thought here. The 80s, where you can pick up a hitchhiker and invite them back for lunch. You cannot do that nowadays.
No.
Even if they have a kid, they could be crazy. So anything that we haven't discussed yet? Just some things from the movie, some things from the book, whatever you have that you liked.
No, I think Drew Barrymore did a great job. I do think some of the lines they gave her were cheesy, but that's not her fault. But the back off, like, we don't need to say it every time. Or maybe have two things you say, so that way you don't just say the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, but that was straight from the book, because she says that in the book.
I know, it's just the frequency. Reading it or listening to it in audiobook format is one thing, but like having someone say it in person, it sounds different on paper.
That's true.
But I think the cast overall was really good, minus the whole Rainbird situation.
Yeah, get a Native American. And I mean, that is the one good thing about the remake, is they actually got a Native American person to play a Native American role. Wow.
And then they completely fucked up that role.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got powers too.
No.
What? Like what? Why does he give a shit?
Him and Charlie go off together at the end. No.
Like what?
This is not how this works.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Now I'm mad again.
Yeah, remember how Terms of Endearment pissed me off? The Firestarter made me even more mad. I was ready to start shooting fire out of my fingertips. God, that movie. I don't want to get into it. It's just not, I cannot recommend the sequel or the remake. If you haven't read the book or seen the original movie, go for it. Go nuts. But if you've seen and you like the story, do not bother, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about stuff we liked from this movie.
No, and I really enjoyed the practical effects. I thought it was really funny. I'm sure you've got it in the trivia, talking about how they had the sheer danger of filming this movie with all the fire.
I'm in danger.
But yeah, I really enjoy it for the fact that it sticks pretty close to the book. Like, I was so excited when they were making a new Firestarter, and because I enjoyed the book so much.
We were so excited.
So disappointed in the results, and I was like, great. So we've got the one that's giving a little bit TV movie at some points, like it's a made-for-TV movie at some points in the film, like where they've simplified it a lot. Yeah. And now we've got movie that looks like they don't even know what the book is or what a book is. And they're like, cool. So in my lifetime, I won't be getting another one. Fantastic.
It's like the opposite of what happened with Stanley Kubrick in The Shining, where Stanley Kubrick read some cliff notes and was like, yeah, shush, I've got enough. It's like they did that with Firestarter and we're like, no, I've got enough, girl with powers, done. But then they just fucking biffed it so hard. I mean, when she said liar, liar, pants on fire, I was 2 seconds away from just yeeting my phone at my TV. And if a movie makes me want to throw something and break a very expensive object in my house, that should say a lot about that movie.
Man.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
I will say regarding the who directed this movie, if we did get John Carpenter to direct this, we would have gotten all of the face melting, all of the gore that we wanted from this. I just really wish he got the chance to direct. No shade to this director at all, but I feel like it definitely would have been.
We would have gotten that garden spike.
Yeah, we would have gotten the uppage. It would have been much gorier. So some dislikes, some things I not a fan of. I really love how Andy has a kind of Texas Southern twang, but he's from New York, or he's from the Northeast. It doesn't make any sense. How that semi in the movie could have easily moved over. He could have moved over to the next fucking state on the highway. Barely misses them. Oh, okay. We've discussed this before, I think, between you and I. But, when Andy holds his head to use the push, it's kind of cheesy. But I get why they have to give you a visual for like, oh, he's using it. But on the other hand, I think they could have just used the noise. The noise would have been enough. He didn't have to dramatically hold his head. If they just were to use that...
I think they did that also to show the strain it's putting on him.
Yeah, that too.
But it's not as off-putting as the way he carried Charlie around, just kind of sideways,
like a football.
Just like arm here, like okay, clearly you have a dummy because you couldn't film, but the way you're holding her is like no child wants to lay in that angle, and that can't possibly be comfortable.
Yeah, I do love how Charlie's hair floats up. I like that.
Oh yeah,
I think that's great. I do wish we could have seen some people, and we kind of see people get intensely lit on fire, but I really wanted people to explode at the farm or at the end of the movie. And then really wasn't a fan of the score in the movie. I don't know. It's very high-pitched tones and a lot of noise. It just, I don't know. The score wasn't working for me in the movie, which is, if I'm commenting on the score not being good, I don't know. Hot takes for me. Oh, dislikes for you. Sorry.
No, I mean, I kind of mentioned mine when you were talking about yours. So.
I just want to see if you have anything else. So my hot take is I don't love Drew Barrymore in this. I don't. But like, I don't know what it is. I just, her delivery, it's not very believable. I don't know. I'm just not sold on it, which is weird because going into rewatching it, I remember, at least the one good thing about this is Drew Barrymore and her performance. And then I was watching it. I was like, it's not working for me on this time. I don't know what it is.
I think the thing is she's still a fairly young actress when she's doing this. And also,
I know.
But a lot of younger actors that were her age or younger had a lot less scenes in movies mostly. So her taking on a bigger role is a lot for a kid her age.
Exactly.
Especially in that time.
But yeah, for some reason, it just wasn't working for me. Do you have any hot takes?
No.
We should both have hot takes for a movie called Firestarter. Hooked for me, even though mine really wasn't a hot take, it was a pretty lukewarm take. Hooked for me is the Manders Farm scene, both in the book and in the movie.
Oh, yeah, that seems like you're just like, oh, shit, all right.
Because especially in the movie, because it starts off so, like, not innocent, but it's just, oh, his arm's lit on fire. Oh, this happens. And then it's just like, fucking cars flipping over, shooting up 20 feet. It's great.
Yeah.
Lost for me is definitely in the back half of the movie because it gets real slow. And not just slow for 10, 20 minutes. I mean, they get to the lab at about 55 minutes. So we're talking from about an hour to about an hour 35. It's about 35 minutes of just kind of dragging. I remember looking over at you like, man, this is boring. Holy shit. But what are you going to do? it's a very faithful adaptation, but I feel like they could have done, I don't know, there could have been something to do.
She could have said liar, liar, pants on fire.
Oh my God. And then I jump in front of a bus. Same for you, I assume. Just kind of lost in that moment. The horror moment for me is just the entirety of the third act when, I guess not the third act, but when she starts.
Oh, when she starts demolishing the shop, she's like, all right, you fucked up. Time to let's do this thing, everybody.
What about you?
Oh, no, that was agreeing with you.
So my favorite kill was initially karate chop to the face for Walnuts, just because it's so ridiculous. But then we got to the end of the movie and I was like, oh yeah, no, that's my favorite kill, because Charlie yeets an Indiana Jones sized fireball at this guy who's on his knees, which just nails him right in the chest and then rockets him into a tree branch, or to the middle of the tree. That's like 30 feet in the air. I mean, that's like a top 10 kill from the 80s for me. It is so wildly ridiculous, and he hits that tree with so much force.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
No, yeah, it's so good. So that's my favorite kill. It is
definitely.
It is the one, and like I said, top 10 kill easily from the 80s. Favorite character, I genuinely don't have a favorite character in this. Everyone is fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone I'm like, yeah, that's the best character, because like Andy and Charlie are kind of on the same bar for me.
Yeah, they're on the same bar, and then everybody else.
I want them to survive, and I want them to win. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps. Least favorite character, 3, 2, 1. Rainbird. Oh, sorry. You didn't say anything.
Several names just popped in my head at once, and then I forgot what I was doing.
Yeah, I think Rainbird is a scumbag manipulating a kid. It's not cool,
and
man.
It's creepy.
It's not. Yeah, and it's kind of creepy. I didn't have a favorite line. There was nothing that really stuck out to me, so don't have anything for that.
Oh, I loved when she said, "Liar, liar, pants on fire."
Shut up. You know, I wrestled with rewatching that one for just not even to try to change my opinion on it, but just to remember specifically how bad it was, and I just don't hate myself enough to go through that again.
Just don't wanna.
There's no way my opinion changes on that movie. It's the same completely terrible. It's a completely terrible adaptation. That's not going to change. The only thing I liked outside of the fact that they got a Native American to play Rainbird was the fact that Zac Efron was looking killer in that movie.
But he was a crazy man.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for Daddy Efron right there. But that is pretty much, those are the only two.
He was a shitty parent.
And they're only, but they see in that one, they do kind of go into his job a little bit, which is, you know, a little bit. But I mean, when you fuck up a story, like our favorite Stephen King story so much, it's kind of hard to rate it, because we both gave it a 1 star.
Yeah.
I think you might have given it a half.
I think I gave it a half a star.
Yeah, I gave it a 1 star because, again, only Mono's Hands of Fate has a 1/2 star or half star in my letterbox. So I don't know. It's like I want to go rewatch it, but I don't want to go rewatch it. I just don't want to be angry again.
That's between you and your God. I'm good.
I was already angry enough with Terms of Endearment last week. I don't want to set myself off again. So gonna keep the vibes positive with moving forward. Anything else you want to mention on Firestarter before we wrap up? I thought there was something else I had, but I can't remember it, honestly.
I got nothing.
You got nothing? If you want to listen to the book, like Elena, I did. Oh, that's what I was going to mention. It really frustrates me when I went to go listen to the book this time that they had changed the picture, because, you know, every audiobook on Audible has a picture of the book you're listening to. And they changed it from the original movie to the new movie with this stupid girl's face on it. No offense to her. She didn't do a bad job. I see that and I'm like, oh, did we really do this? So yeah, the thing, I don't know. I just don't know why they had to do that. Keep it Drew Barrymore's face. Just saying. It's frustrating. But if you got nothing else to say, we can move on here. Okay. So go check it out on Audible. I used a free credit I had. Moving on to post-review stuff here. Tagline, she has the power and evil... I thought it said and. She has the power and evil destructive force. If you get on her bad side, you're toast. Wow. And will she have the power... ... to survive? Trivia, George C. Scott wears an eye patch over his left eye during the final half hour of the film, which was due to the infection caused by the contact lens used earlier in the film. The eye was not quite healed and had to wear it to complete the filming of his scenes. But I'm pretty sure he had an eye patch in the movie, didn't he? Or did he not?
I meant to look at that, and I forgot to look at it. Like, he was wearing one, but I don't know if they had to, like, flip eyes or something.
Okay. In a 2010 interview, Mark L. Lester confirmed that this was the most difficult film he had ever made. He said, quote, "That was all practical effects. The fireballs you see, that's not CG. Back then, we would actually create fireballs that could fly through the air. They were on a wire and would crash into buildings. We had people on fire that were on trampolines that had to flip through the air. It was very dangerous. All the effects were done right on the set. It was a pretty intense thing to do then." Because that ending scene is so good. I mean, these fireballs are fucking massive.
Oh, they're huge.
And there's actually some pretty decent effects where they superimpose some stuff. Like when, I know there's another similarity between the book and the movie. It's when Rainbird shoots Charlie and she like just releases an immeasurable amount of force and disintegrates the bullet in the air and then catches him on fire. And then goes out and she's being shot at by the other shop agents or whatever. And there's that scene where it's just like basically hitting a force field. I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, those really good effects back then. Mark L. Lester said he never understood why Stephen King hated this film. He said during an interview, quote, "I knew he hated The Shining because that movie was not his book. But in the case of Firestarter, he had approved the script. He even worked on it. He was on the set and we talked about everything we were doing. He loved everything. The one thing that he especially criticized, the wind blowing through Drew Barrymore's hair, that was his idea to begin with." But I will say it again, like I've said it many times. Drugs.
Yeah.
They are a hell of cocaine. It's a hell of a drug. During filming of The Thing, 1982, Universal offered John Carpenter a chance to direct the film. Carpenter hired Bill Lancaster to adapt the novel into a screenplay. Stephen King approved of the Lancaster screenplay. Months later, Carpenter had hired Bill Phillips to write another version with Richard Dreyfuss as Andy, but when The Thing was a financial disappointment, Universal replaced Carpenter with Mark L. Lester. Years later, The Thing became a much bigger cult hit and is considered one of the greatest horror films ever made.
Yep.
It's wild to me that, first of all, The Thing failed in 1982, completely panned by everybody. And two, because of that, they're like, nah, you're not doing Firestarter. I just think it was too ahead of its time. It's like when Marty McFly goes back in time and plays that song, and he's like, you know what? You guys weren't ready for that, but your kids are going to love it. That's the thing.
Exactly.
You guys aren't going to like this, but your kids, they're going to love it. And finally, here, Drew Barrymore had to be filmed on a soundstage for certain scenes, including the climactic barn fire, which were shot at night because the production could not have her working all night long. They used a little person lookalike as a double for her. My only goof, and it's because it's hilarious, in the end credits, special effects is misspelled Speecal effects. Speical effects.
Wow.
Nailed it. Rated 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 2.5. That's not right. 2.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd, has a 40% on the tomato meter and a 52% audience score. You gave this a
3.5.
Oh, so we're at the same. 3.5. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, that's why I was like, for a minute I was thinking, ooh, 4 stars, and then it went down to 3 stars. But you can't deny that fucking ending. The ending brought it from a 3 to a 3.5 because it is just so chaotic and very impressive that they were just throwing fireballs around on wires. Gotta love the 80s. Similar movies according, so not a Frightmare certified slap, but I saw that coming. Similar movies according to Letterboxd, we have Firestarter 2022, Freaks, The Fury, Hannah, and Leon the Professional. I don't know what Hannah is. Similar movies according to IMDb, Cat's Eye, which also stars a Drew Barrymore. What?
Hannah's that one of Saoirse Ronan where she's like that little blonde girl who's like an assassin. Who's in the snow and stuff.
Nope.
Yeah.
Similar movies according to IMDb, we have Cat's Eye, also featuring a young Drew Barrymore, Cujo, Firestarter 2022, Silver Bullet, and Christine. You look like someone who didn't get funny reviews on Letterboxd.
I didn't find any I really was like, oh, that's funny.
Oh my God, I gotta do this all on my own. All right. I've got a few here. So, 3 stars from Parker. Drew Barrymore and her dad meet up with an old farmer at one point in this movie. After 5 minutes with him, they're like, hey, we're on the run from the government. And he's like, I'll grab my shotgun and we'll roll on these motherfuckers. What a solid bro. 2.5 stars from Maddie. Hey, why the fuck did they cast George C. Scott as a Native American character? I agree. 2.5 stars from Russman. I imagined my cat with this type of power and got real scared. So random. 2 stars from Jessica. I guess now we know what happened to Eleven's father. Supporting my connection there.
Jesus.
4 stars from Jamie. This was a good slow burn movie. Hey. I screenshotted this one, but I don't remember this being a thing. I'm not sure. Sorry, just a heart from Josh. I'm not sure what ruined the word daddy more, this movie or the 2010s. I don't remember her saying daddy all that much. Am I just misremembering this?
No, she says it.
Interesting. A couple more here because I brought some in case we had duplicates, but I guess I don't have to worry about that.
Would you read get 10 of these things? Jesus.
I got 7. 3 stars from Cody. The wind machine was a wise investment. I love this. This is my favorite thing ever. I commented on this one. 1 star from Taylor, hoping the remake is better with a yawning face. And I said, brother, it's not. It's I have some bad news for you. And 2 stars from Gordo Flower. This movie should be nowhere near its runtime. I agree. 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours is a bit rough. Chop 20 minutes off and you got a nice tight movie. Other than that, it's too long. If you enjoy the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Slasher app on Frightmare's Podcast. Our email is stayspooky@outlook.com. You can also follow me personally on Letterboxd at Dr. Proctor. You are
Watson LMP 90.
Boo. Yeah. Next week, Corey and I will be back doing The Return of the Living Dead from 1985. So until then, stay tuned and
Stay spooky.